Welcome to the Appleton Museum of Art in Ocala, Florida, in our paint pouring class. I'm Marie Fielding, I'm one of the instructors. And before we go through all your materials, I want to show you some things, some examples that we have done so you can get an idea of what you may be able to do. This one here, it's got kind of a shine to it, but this one it's a 16 by 20. And when we were experimenting, actually 3 of us took cups and poured on this one. But so if you want to do a big canvas, you're probably going to have to get some help on that one. But this one is one of our favorites. Okay. I have a few more I would like to show you. This particular one, I don't hope you can see that. This one is really beautiful. And because it reminded us of like a geode, we actually put some glitter on there. And, you know, that's something that you can do. Okay, this one, we experimented with primary colors. And honestly, when this was drying at first, myself, I wasn't so sure I was going to like this one. But this one came out pretty interesting as well. I'm going to show you a couple of different techniques for pouring. And then at the very end, you can decide how you want to do this. So I just want to show you a few things. This is another one. It is nice to have a dark color in your selection because it just kind of brings out that nice contrast. Okay. We also, and I'm going to show you how to do this too, you can pour on almost anything. This, our wine glass, and we actually did a coaster that goes with it, and I'm going to show you how to do that. This is really very easy, and actually after you do the pour, it's what's left in the cup is what I use to pour over the glass. So I've got an extra coaster that we're going to use. Before we start, things that you absolutely need. I'm wearing gloves today. Last week I did not, and my hands by the end were pretty awful. It did all come off, but it's I've got gloves today. So you need acrylic paint, which if you're in the States, you can get at the dollar stores. You can buy your acrylic paint any place, really. This one right here is actually house paint from my daughter's home. So it was extra left over, so that also can be used. You need a measuring cup. You need mixing sticks. And most important is the flow. Well, we use Floetrol. It's the pouring medium. There's a lot of different brands. And some people have used glue. I personally have not used glue, which you would have to water down, I believe, because it's just too thick for pouring. But I've never used this. This is very easy to use. In the PowerPoint, you're going to find a chart that will tell you how much to mix for certain size canvases. Basically, it's a ratio of 2 paint to 1 Floetrol. So most of what I've got mixed up here today is based on a 12 by 12 canvas. So again, but it's always 2 to 1. Okay, let me little sidetrack on that. If your paint, for example, house paint, is much thicker than any of the paint that you're going to get in bottles, that you're going to have to add some more pouring medium to that. And you have to kind of judge. You want it to dribble off the stick, almost like dish liquid that you're going to use. You want that to flow nicely. So anything like this, or if you've got some old paint that has thickened up, you are going to have to add more Floetrol to that. And I'll show you how to mix these up in a minute. These right here, I took 4 little canvases because I wanted to experiment, and we're going to do this today, and did a pour and then split them up. So when I have tried to put these back in order, and I can't figure out how it is done. but you could arrange these any way you want to. And you could do this with larger canvases. Of course, you'd have to mix up a lot of paint, but you could do an arrangement on the wall with several different canvases that come from one pour. So that's always a possibility. So I'm going to take these and, okay, here are my little canvases. And the first thing I did was as you can see, is I took painting tape and I taped these together. Then what you want to do with any of your canvases, you want to take some kind of a push pin. I've already done some of these, but you want to put, and with these, you've got a lot of them because you've got because eventually you're going to take this apart and you want all four corners to have pins in them. Because as you pour, you want this up off the table, or in my case, I have a tray. And so the paint can flow. So you want to get those in. So, okay. And I'm going to turn these over so you can see they're up off the table or the tray. So when I pour, it'll flow nicely, and then I'll start to separate these. What I'm also going to do with this paint pour is I'm going to do a glass. I want to show you how to do the glass. These wine glasses, first thing that you want to do is clean them with alcohol. Just take, paper towel, whatever. I have already done them. And you want to clean those with alcohol to remove any type of oils or anything. It could be any type of glassware. We've done a vase. We had extra, most of the time it's extra paint, and you just can pour whatever you've got left. But let's go ahead and mix up your paints. I always use white as one of my paints because it just helps to blend a lot of the colors nicely. I tend to add black to everything because even though I might have, in this case, I'm going to use a dark blue, I still like to have a black in there. It makes for a nice contrast on a lot of things. So you need a 2-to-1 ratio. What I usually do is I take cups, and this is 1/4 cup of water, and so I'm mixing. There's my 1/4 cup. And I would put a black line here. So now I know how much paint to put into that cup. So I'll do this. Mark this one. So I know how much paint. I'll get rid of that. Okay. I mix up, especially because I'm doing a lot of pours today, I have a lot of white and a lot of black already mixed up. So these have already been measured out. So I'm going to use 3 different blues. Always shake up your paints before you start. You don't know how long they've been sitting. So this is a metallic blue. So I'm going to put this up to that line. These are 4, let's see, how much are these? These are 4 ounces. So I should be able to get 2 pours out of these. Okay. And actually what I've done sometimes, now there's another 2 ounces that I can use for another pour. And sometimes I actually will put the Floetrol in the bottle and shake that up to make sure I'm getting all of my paint. There's not a lot of paint left in the bottle. So here's another 2 ounces. Okay. All right. Now my Floetrol. I use a measuring cup, and so I don't have 1/8 of a cup here. but I've got a fourth of a cup, so I'm gonna measure about half it. Whoops, a little too much there. But actually, I'm gonna need this extra because this is the house paint. And when you mix that up, that's actually really nice because it's going to dribble right off your stick there. That's actually pretty good. So a little, mix these up. Okay, and this one, get any little extra dribbles out of there. And this one, I think I actually need a little more. That's kind of clumpy. So just a little bit. You know, the ratios of 2 to 1, you know, you need to start with that anyway. But as you can see, depending on what paint you're using, that's not bad. You need to kind of adjust that a little bit. You want it to flow off your stick because you want it to flow on your canvases. And that's nice too. All right, so I've got all of these mixed up and just gonna move a few things here. And now what I'm gonna do is pour into a larger cup. And I'm gonna stand here. This is just gonna be easier. Once I start working, it's just easier to stand. So I usually use a large cup. And a lot of times I will start with white. So let's pour just a little bit of white in here. It doesn't really make a difference, except a personal thing, how you add your colors, which goes first, which goes last. And I'm just going to pour a little of each in here and keep going until I'm going to basically use up all of these three, not so much those because I've mixed a lot of those. Oh, this is pretty. Be careful about using black. We found sometimes the black can be overpowering. Okay, so I'm not going to use a whole lot of black in here. And I am going to use a little more white. And then my blues. I'm going to pour all of this in right now. And then I'll use this one. And I'm just going to keep layering. Yeah, let's add a little touch of white. Not a lot. Okay. I'm going to use the rest of this dark blue. Ratio is a 2 to 1, so 2 paint to 1 pouring medium. Except that, and that's that's a start, because depending on how your paint is, and you paint it, like this metallic blue, I needed to put almost, I think I put equal, maybe even a little more Floetrol in that because that paint was thick. The same with the house paint, that was kind of thick. So there was more Floetrol in that. You just have to get a good sense of, you know, you want it to flow off your stick, okay? Because That's the whole idea, to have that paint flow. But a start is a 2 to 1, 2 paint to 1 Floetrol. So now I'm going to start pouring in a circle here. I'm not going to pour right in the center because there is that space there, but here we go. And this is one way you can do it. You can pour in a circle. And before this is empty, I am going to also pour on here. And I did not save myself enough, did I? Nope, I didn't. No. In a case like this, if you're finding though, like maybe I didn't save enough, this can always be washed off and just done over again. I'm just going to leave that. This is going to keep moving anyway. And the same with this. Now you're ready to, I am going to first hold these together and you start moving them. As you do this, you actually can touch up, if you want to get it around a corner or something. I like that light blue, but I don't want to lose this light blue. It's starting to come apart. And actually, whoa, let's do this. Yeah, let's do some of that. You can see why there's a reason you wear gloves. Okay, the directions are they're never going to be dishwasher safe, just so you know. They have to be hand washed, but once you finish with this glass, once it's dry, and the directions are in the PowerPoint, I'm just going to take a little of this. You put it in an oven, turn the oven on, see, you can pick up some of this paint and get those edges. And this is where I am going to start pulling this apart. There's one. There's two. Whoops, lost the clip on that one. Okay, this one I'm going to put on the edge. Okay, and I've lost the push pin on these, so I'm going to line that up. This paint will continue to move. Okay, and like I said, that's why you need to let it sit a good 48, maybe 72 hours. If at any point you decide, like we did in some of the others, we had just some plain like transparent glitter. If you wanted to look like a little geode or something, you could add that in there. Okay, getting back to the glass. Once this is completely dry, you're going to take this glass and you're going to put it in an oven, turn the oven on to 350 and leave it in there for 30 minutes. Shut it off, let the oven cool down completely. And this is going to be completely cool before you take it out of the oven, because if you take that out of the oven too soon, the hot air inside, and you take that glass out into the cold air, you're going to crack your glass. Okay, so it dries, goes into an oven, turn it on to 350 for 30 minutes, let it completely cool down, then you can take it out. But it is never going to be dishwasher safe. Right, this is a Fahrenheit, yeah, 350 Fahrenheit, a technique that you can do with 4 different ones. Okay, I'm going to move this and, all righty. Okay, This is going to be a little bit different, and let me put on some fresh clothes. This one, instead of pouring your different colors into one big cup, we're going to do individual pours. And you can mix them, you can put them where you want them. You still want to tend to put them towards the middle, but let's get rid of these. Whoops, got some glue on there. I'm going to keep the white and the black, and I've got a red, and this is a raw sienna color. So this is, I've got my white, I've got my black, and this one, yeah, maybe a little bit. Okay. There we go. All right, with this one, like I said, instead of mixing it in a large red cup, what I'm going to do here, and this is an option, is you can do a pour. Okay, that black is really thick. I'm going to put a little more in here. And I'm going to do this, a lot of this red. And then you start. And this is where the fun is, because you want this paint to move over all your edges. Like I said, I can help this and get my edges. Okay, kind of liking this one. This one's kind of neat. And let's see, yeah, but I don't want to lose that whole design over there. Now I have an edge here that's not done, but, and that you could actually leave an edge too if you want to, you know, because I really don't want to lose that right in here. And some of that paint's going to move as it dries anyway, so it may end up going over that edge. So I'm going to go this way. And again. So this one gives you a little more control where your colors are. With the other pours, you don't have as much control. This color combination, I'll tell you, this raw sienna is an awesome color. It does. As a matter of fact, and I'm going to grab this. I'm going to go back to this painting here. The first one I showed you, that is the raw sienna in this painting as well. And I wish I had used more of that, but that's the raw sienna in this one. These are the same colors. Actually, it's the raw sienna, red, white, and black. This one, there is a lot of texture in this because the red that we used was old paint, and I had to really mix it. And I think some of the black was also, because that was an experiment. You can, and we have done this, is we have actually taken a hair dryer and pushed the paint around a little bit. You can do that. You can take a toothpick if you wanted to and go back in there, you know, and make little line designs if you wanted to. Because actually, this is very interesting. There's that little design right in there. But you could make this, you could change this by moving that paint around if you wanted to. Right now, I like this the way it is, so I'm going to leave this. I just want to show you, this is a crystal clear glitter. And, you know, that's, once you put it on there, you can't get rid of it. But if I wanted to highlight like even some of this little white area, I could put a little bit of glitter on there if I wanted to, just to bring out a little bit of shine. And it will stay on top. It will not sink in. Okay, so that is something that you could do. Okay, this is a 12 by 12. So I've got my tacks on here. Move these away. For this one. And again, I'm going to pour these into a cup because I'm going to do something just a little bit different. So I'm going to start with some white. And these are the colors that I use. Remember when we first started, I showed you the 4 little panels and that I had separated. These are the same colors that I used. But this time I'm not going to use as much black because it seemed like the black really overpowered those 4 little canvases. So I'm just going to put a little black in here. And put some more green. White. This one. I'm going to put the rest of this in here right now. And some copper. And I'm also going to do that other glass that I did. With that. Dunkin' Donuts. All right, maybe a touch, but that's it. And the rest of this green. Maybe a little bit. Okay, and here we go. This time, I'm going to put my canvas on top, okay? And we're going to flip this over and then lift the cup. Now, when you do this, you want to find where your cup is. I can feel it right here. But you don't want to put your hand in this way. You want to put your hand underneath. So when you pick this up, I can feel this, okay? When you flip this, I'm holding on to this cup. Okay, so I'm going to put this down. And as you pick this cup up, your paint is going to start to flow. You can angle it different directions. You can pull it straight up if you want to. But as soon as you start, you can see it's going to start to come out. And I'm just going to, I can guide it if I want to. And I'm just going to now pull the rest of that up. And I forgot about the cup and about the glass. But that's okay. And sometimes it's funny, you get air bubbles. And now this. And it's the same type of thing. You start moving this and start watching where, you know, you might want some of those color mixtures to go. And as I pour this, I'm going to do this over my glass. Sorry, I'm not doing this very well as far as a camera, but I'm pouring this around my glass here. Now I'm going to go this way. Right, the black really is not showing up much at all. And sometimes the black may be underneath some of this, and it doesn't start to come through until it sits for a while. Do this. Okay. Just keep, and I can touch this up. See, the black is underneath there. Go this way. You can see the black actually coming through up by my finger here. I'm going to kind of guide this along. Okay. We still want this to move a little bit. Most of the nice green, unfortunately, is on my tray. This is kind of interesting. Okay, there is black underneath here, and you can see it here, and it may start to come through, and there's like scaling in here and all through here. You'll be surprised in an hour or so even what this looks like, and then even tomorrow, because it will start to change. You've got little green bubbles coming through here. There's some green coming even through here. And I like that black over there. I wish I could get more on there, but I'm not going to move this again, I don't think. So I'm hoping you've found which way you actually want to do your pour, because you've got like a couple of different options. The flipping, you can pour individual colors at a time, or you can put them all in one cup and then do a spiral pour. There's a lot of different options. These coasters, we specifically did not want to put a sealer on these, because the whole idea with these coasters was for them to absorb condensation, you know, off any kind of glass. So you don't want to put a sealer on these, because these are a clay and those are absorb. Once you put the sealer on them, they're not going to absorb. But let me show you, yes, that one that we have. Yeah, Deb has it. And this one is really a matte finish. There's really no shine to this at all. Usually an acrylic will give you a shine, but this one, because we use several different house paints, it doesn't. And I am going to put a varnish on that, or a spray varnish on that, and that should, you know, bring out the color actually even more. But a lot of these acrylics will dry, and they have a shine to them already. This one, it's not a really bright shine, but there is a bit of a shine. Besides the fact that we put glitter on this, but it's probably very hard for you to see it, but there is a bit of a shine to this. It's not a lot, but if you wanted something really, really shiny, then yes, go put a spray varnish on it. You absolutely could do that. If you have, you can always take, like I said, like a toothpick or anything like that, and just kind of go in here, you know, and make little little lines or whatever. See, there's green underneath here too, as you can see, because as I move this, there's green, there's more green underneath this copper color. So you know what? With a hair dryer, usually on a cool setting, thank you. I'm just going to angle this right down. You see, you can see what you can do with your paint when if you really get close and this paint pushes. Now I've got ridges here, and it may dry like that. I'm not sure. This is causing some very interesting effects in here. It has totally changed this. And I've got some interesting, it's almost looked like snakeskin in here, but it has brought out more green. No, that's just all the paint, the thickness of the paint. What I've done is I've moved it around. I've brought up more green. Now let me do this one more time. Yeah, this looks better. This looks much better. You have to, I could tell when I was over here, it's not moving very well. So it's really starting to settle. Can we get here? Let me lift this. Oops. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, so actually this looks even better when it's been moved around with the hair dryer. So that's, if you know what, if you don't like what it looks like, try a couple of different things. I do not have a toothpick, but I have a paintbrush. Anything with a, you know, you can, with a small edge. I mean, if I wanted to, I could just very easily drag lines through this. And I'm making curly cues, you know. If I wanted to, I could actually follow this and keep duplicating that line. If I wanted, you know, could probably, you could start drawing something in here. And at this point, it may actually stay a little bit. Like, let's go around this. That squiggle might stay. I'm not so much, this is very thick in here right now, so I'm not sure that's going to start moving. But these over here, those lines have stayed a little bit. These lines have stayed a little bit. If I wanted to follow this, or if I, let's see, if I can find that black in there. Oops, I lost that black. There it is right there. Okay. Yeah, so I mean, if you want very fine lines, use a toothpick. You can use a paintbrush if you want something more obvious. This would be with the other end of the paintbrush. See, now there is green underneath here. Because as I'm pulling this, there is green underneath that copper. Once you do these lines, once you drag into this, most of the time it's going to stay unless you're doing it right away and it's the paint is still really moving. Like this is staying, this is, oh, that is starting to fill in again. So, you can always pour a little more paint on there if you wanted to, but it's really risky if you kind of like what you've got here. The idea of pouring additional paint is really not recommended. Sometimes I like to see what the tray looks like. Actually, that tray is really pretty. Ooh, you know what? Here's an idea. I still have a coaster here. So just out of curiosity, I'm going to lift this up. I'm going to put that there. Pick that up. Ooh. All right. I'm going to put this back over here to dry. Let that dry. See what happens to that. Too bad I don't have something else. You know, when you have all this paint, it's like, oh, is there something else I can do? There. So let's take this one. And there's what we did at the very beginning. They've moved a little bit. You can see where there is paint that's dribbled off here, but those have moved a bit. And those are kind of interesting. Now I could use the hairdryers on those right now too and see what happens to those. Or we could try the hairdryer on this one. Let's try the hairdryer on this one. Careful, there's all kinds of paint on that hose. This one could be very interesting. All right, let's try the hairdryer on this one. You know what? This has been sitting for a while. It doesn't really want to move. Whoops, there it goes. If I had a smaller canvas, all I have is oh yeah, I'm definitely leaving the white area I mean, you could leave that totally white. Myself, I enjoy doing pen and ink. I could see myself taking a pen and doing something inside those areas. But that is beautiful. That's very pretty. Yeah, I think I'm going to leave that one. Wow. But yes, it is addictive. It's really, really fun. And I hope you had a good time. Okay, so thank you very much for coming. And yeah, try anything, try it all.